Hello everyone and a happy Victober to you. We are now in, I think, part 5 of my Victorian book tour, and I hope that you are enjoying it. I hope that you are having a great Victober, possibly your best Victober ever. If this is your first Victober, welcome. And I will get started. So the first one is Adam Bede, this Penguin Black Classic edition. This book. This is one I will never get rid of. I love this story. The first time that I read it, it just blew my mind. So this is very pulpy. This actually, I debate between Janet's Repentance because that's short as a good starting point, or Adam Bede because it's so pulpy. I don't know. It is very harrowing though, so you do have to go in knowing that, but definitely worth it. And then, unfortunately, the Eliot that has affected me the least, and that is Felix Holt, the Radical. I did enjoy this a moderate amount as I was reading, and it just doesn't have quite the same staying power. But I liked it enough to keep it, and at some point, I'll revisit it. Then I have the Journals of George Eliot, which was edited by Margaret Harris and Judith Johnston. This is a really splendid collection because they give you some context for her life before each section. So there are journals, there are diaries, there are a few letters, and there's a lot of kind of mundane stuff in here, but there are enough gems where I'm like, okay, it was very worth it to get this. Then I have one that I haven't read. I tried a few years ago, A Struggle for Fame by Charlotte Riddell. But this is about after the death of her mother and the loss of her family's fortune, it falls to young Glenn Westley to do what she can for herself and her ailing father. So they move from the west of Ireland to London. So at some point, I will try this again. I like having a kind of under-the-radar Victorian book, and it's a really beautiful edition. So yes, we shall see. Okay, then I have several of the Victorian Secret publishers editions here. So the first is, this title is so long, The Life and Adventures of Hearvey Teasdale, the Converted Clown and Man Monkey with His Remarkable Conversion in Wakefield Prison. So it's just a little memoir about a guy who was really terrible. He was in prison for assaulting his wife, and then he was converted, and he was a preacher after that. So it's his biography. It sounds really intriguing, so we shall see. Then I have Florence Marryat's Her Father's Name. Florence Marryat also wrote, I think, some horror fiction. But this is about a woman who I'm pretty sure she, yes. Yeah. The compelling plot combines murder, mystery, cross-dressing, illegitimacy, amateur sleuthing, and hysteria. So it sounds like quite a page turner. There's always, really, in these Victorian Secret publishers, there are amazing supplementary notes that are included. So yeah, extracts from other things that they think match it, comments on hysteria, reviews of it, and so yeah, really wonderful kind of resources they put in them. And then I have the story of Lily Dawson by Catherine Crowe. I started this a while back. I didn't get that far. It's a bit of a Cinderella kind of type story. Shipwrecked as a young girl, Lily Dawson is kidnapped by smugglers and forced to work as their servant. She flees captivity and then has to kind of make her way in the world. But it says it's a tale of pirates, outlaws, murder, mistaken identity, lust, and betrayal. It sounds very exciting, right? It has all the markings of it could be a really great pulpy Victorian novel. So I definitely will have to try this again. I was wondering if I had left a bookmark in here, but there was no bookmark. Then lastly, Grania, the Story of an Island. I fell absolutely in love with this one, Victober. It is the most propulsive book, and it is brief. It is 240 pages. And then at the back, this is interesting, Margaret Oliphant's review. And then, yeah, just what literary journals the reviews it gave. I don't think I even looked at these after. So yeah, that would be fun to scan through. So at some point I will definitely be rereading this. Then we have Anthony Trollope's Autobiography, which what I know about Trollope, I think I will like him even more after reading this, as opposed to some Victorian authors. And I am very excited to see kind of what it's like. But I do know it contains spoilers for several of his novels. So I have made the list of the ones that it has spoilers for, and I'm trying to finish those before I embark on this. Then this is sort of Victorian, half not. My Dearest Albert, Queen Victoria's Life Through Her Letters and Journals. I was very excited and then very not excited once I saw, here, this is like, these are her journals, and then all of this extra stuff is not. So I was like, oh man, I wanted just her journals. But I do really love this cover. Then we have something I have not worked up the courage to try yet. The selected essays, poems, and other writings of George Eliot. So in this collection, my dad got me this. He has faith in my intellect, apparently. There are a couple of letters, which those wouldn't be too challenging. Then it's like her commentary, her literary criticism of Victorian philosophy. So Thomas Carlyle's Life of John Sterling. Some of them are novels, though. She writes on Geraldine Dewsbury's Constance Herbert. I didn't know she read Geraldine Dewsbury. She writes on Margaret Fuller and Mary Wollstonecraft. Yes, Let's Mow the Lawn right when I'm filming. I forgot. On Tuesdays, that's when they do it. I really hope it is not too loud. Then her essays, The Natural History of German Life. Her very snarky essays, Silly Novels by Lady Novelists. The Ilfracombe Journal. So, I don't know. I find it all very intimidating, but I'm definitely not getting rid of it. Then we have here Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I love this book. It is so stinking readable. Can't recommend it enough. I have 2 editions of Great Expectations. I can't bring myself to get rid of this one. It's my dad's, and I love that I was able to own it now, and it's such a cool little compact edition. And then this is, I think it's called Knickerbocker Classics. After I got it, I actually don't really like how they feel. Like this fabric, it's just kind of how corduroy can feel when you feel it sometimes. I don't know if I'm making sense. It just feels kind of weird on your fingers as you're holding it sometimes. But I like the paper quality. So maybe at some point I'll read from this edition. Then I'm still too scared to read The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have talked about this a lot. I think people are awful hard on Elizabeth Gaskell, and it just makes me sad. At some point, I'll read it. Okay, then I have several travel diaries, Victorian travel diaries. Okay, I think I have 3. I guess I thought I had 4, but maybe I don't. So I have Untrodden Peaks and Unfrequented Valleys by Amelia Edwards. Basically, Victorian travel writing, now that I've read more of it, it's a lot more dull than I thought it was going to be. But I still haven't gotten rid of them. And you will be seeing there are illustrations in this one. I did not know that. Amelia Edwards is a lady that I find fascinating. All of her traveling that she did. And then we have here Roughing It in the Bush by Susannah Moodie. This is a woman who moved to Canada from Victorian England. And it will be interesting to read this, kind of what she thinks of Canada at that time. And then lastly, A Lady's Life in the Rocky Mountains by Isabella Bede. I have very mixed feelings about this one because I actually read, I think it's Travels in Japan was maybe another one by Isabella Bede, and didn't really like her personality. So I don't know what I'll think of this. We shall see. The one that I feel the most inclined to try would be Untrodden Peaks and Unfrequented Valleys. Then a most beloved book, and that is A Welsh Witch by Alan Raine. This is one that I'm just very excited to continue to explore, the Alan Raine that is out there and available. And I'm currently reading Torn Sails and thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, I love her writing. It is so atmospheric and just feels so distinct to the part of the world that she was from in Wales. And just feels like it couldn't be set anywhere else. And then I have this big edition of Man and Wife. This blew me away. Last Victober, it was the highlight of Victober for me. I had a lot of duds. So that was a bummer, but this was a real highlight. And yeah, so enjoyable. And then we have I think this is the only hardcover modern library I have of a Victorian novel, and that is Our Mutual Friend. So I am a little bit surprised that this one doesn't have illustrations, but this is one that I read through really quickly one Victober, and I want to return to, so hopefully at some point I will. All right, I'm gonna try to finish up in this video. Then we have here a World's Classic edition of Lorna Doone, and it is delightfully floppy. Then I have The Perpetual Curate by Mrs. Oliphant. Definitely not getting rid of this. I really, really had a lot of fun reading this, and it's A Quiet Corner by J.C. Horsley is the painting that's on there. And then I have Mahala by Sabine Baring Gould. This was a total miss for me. So I haven't given up on it. I'm going to try it again at some point. It was just, I thought it was going to be another In the Roar of the Sea, and it was not. Then I have David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I could talk all day about how much I love David Copperfield. It's so good, and it's so sentimental, and I love that about it. It is just such a treat of a book, and I think these illustrations just are so fitting for it, and I love this book. So if you are thinking about the next Dickens to try, I really recommend David Copperfield. I think it is so wonderful. Then, let's see. All right, last section of books. I have The Mayor of Casterbridge, and this is a book that the first time I read it, I really enjoyed it. The second time I read it, it just felt a bit over the top and heavy-handed. So I don't know. I will keep it. I'll try it again at some point, and maybe it'll be the right time for it then. Never getting rid of this one, Aurora Floyd by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. If you want tons of atmosphere, this has some like delicious darkness to it. So good. I love Aurora Floyd. Then we have the Charlotte Mary Young that has been the most challenging to me, and it has defeated me, and that is The Clever Woman of the Family. At some point, I will conquer this, but it was just unrelenting in its pacing. I don't know. I made it. How many pages is that? 255 pages. So that's a good chunk, but I think it was still not quite halfway. Yeah, because it's close to 600 pages. Not quite. I don't know. At some point, this is the only Charlotte Mary Young that has, it feels the most different from her books. I think that's part of it. Okay, and then I have 4 of the Barsetshire Chronicles. So I have Barchester Towers, and then I have Framley Parsonage. Then I have, ooh, don't fall over, The Small House at Allington. And then lastly, I have The Last Chronicle of Barset. So that is my giant tour of my Victorian bookshelves. Thank you as always for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know if you think there are some Victorian books that I should add to my collection. And I will be back with another video soon. Bye!